Chapter 10.3, Arcs and Chords. If we are looking at two minor arcs, and we're looking at the two minor arcs in the same circle, or congruent circles, if those two minor arcs are congruent, then the corresponding chords are congruent. And it goes the other way too. If two chords are congruent, then the minor arcs that they cut off are also congruent. So looking at the first problem, we're told that the chords RS and TV are congruent. We're told that the measure of the arc RS is 85 degrees. That means that since the chords are congruent, the arcs are congruent. So arc TV is also 85 degrees. In the next problem, we're told the two circles are congruent to each other. We're told that arc WX is congruent to arc YZ. So that means that the chords WX and YZ are also congruent. So we're going to solve for x first. So 7x minus 2 equals 5x plus 6. So 2x equals 8 and x equals 4. We want to find WX. So plugging that in, we have 7 times 4 minus 2, which gives us 12. So WX is 12. In the next problem, we're told again that the circles are congruent and that the arcs RT and LM are congruent, which makes the chords congruent. So we're going to solve for x again. So 3x minus 5 equals 2x plus 1. So x equals 6. We want to find the length of LM, so we would plug it in. So 2 times 6 plus 1 would give us 13. Next, we're being told, or we are learning, that if a diameter or a radius is perpendicular to a chord, then it bisects the chord, which means it cuts the chord in half, and it bisects the arc. If we know that that happens, the perpendicular bisector of a chord is a diameter. We know it's that if it's perpendicular and it bisects it. So in the next problem, we're talking about circle G. We're told the measure of arc DEF is 150 degrees. We want to find the measure of arc DE, which is half of it. We know that this is perpendicular, this radius, so it does bisect the arc. So that means the measure of arc DE is half of 150, which is 75 degrees. In the next problem for circle Z, we're asked to find the measure of arc UX. We know that this radius is perpendicular to this chord, so we know that it bisects the angle or the arcs, and it also bisects the chord. We're told that WUX is 160, so half of that is 80. In the next picture, we're dealing with a ceramic tile. Let's draw a picture without all the other stuff in it. We're told that the diameter AB is 18 inches long. That tells us that the radius is 9 inches long, which is CE right here is a radius, so that is 9 inches long. We're told that chord EF, so from here to here, is 8 inches long. We can see the diameter is perpendicular to the chord, which means it cuts the chord in half, so this is 4 inches long. And we want to find the length of CD. This is set up for the Pythagorean theorem. So if I let CD be x, we have x squared plus 4 squared equals 9 squared. So x squared plus 16 equals 81. X squared equals 65. So x equals plus or minus rad 65. So CD is rad 65, or approximately 8.06 inches. In the next problem, we're told the diameter QS is 14 inches long, which makes the radius 7 inches long. We're told that chord RT is 10 inches long. The diameter is perpendicular to that chord, so the diameter cuts it in half. So RU is 5, and we want to find VU. So x squared plus 5 squared equals 7 squared. Solving for x, I have that x squared equals 24. So x equals plus or minus rad 24, which is approximately 4.9. In the same circle or congruent circles, two chords are congruent only if they're equal distance from the center. So if we have something going from the center to the chord perpendicular, and we know that this is congruent to this, then we know that the chords are congruent to each other. So in circle P, we're told that the chords EF and GH are congruent. That gives us then that QP and PR are congruent, and we want to find PQ. So we first have to solve for x. And we have that x equals 3. Plug it in for PQ. We have that PQ equals 9. In the next problem, we're told that MN and PO equal each other. That tells us that QR and RS are congruent. To find RS, we need to solve for x first. And we have x equals 7. Plugging that in for RS, we have that RS is equal to 15. And that concludes the lesson for 10.3.